Some backlash for Paul Levesque McMahon on the serious side, how he's handling this whole Vincent Kennedy McMahon situation, especially when the Rumble went off the air. On a more lighthearted side, his dislike for Forbidden Doors. We'll talk all about it in this upload. And we'll also talk Jade Cargill. Latest report saying there's some trouble with Jade Cargill, but BC is not seeing the problem. We'll talk about it. Also, the latest on Brock Lesnar. He's been removed for all future dates for WWE, most likely taking him out of WrestleMania, just like the Royal Rumble. But we actually have his booking, or what was supposed to be his booking going forward through WrestleMania. Wait till you hear this. You guys can decide if this was the right scenario for Brock anyway. I got the latest on Brock. We're also going to talk Samantha Irvine. Big report on her and why she may have been on fire at the Royal Rumble. If you guys saw her performance, she was on a whole nother level. I also got to give props to Paul Levesque McMahon. A certain individual, a character tweak that Levesque McMahon actually went to bat for. And I feel it greatly improved her in her last run. We'll talk about that and why I got to give some props over to HHH. A big contract extension is about to happen. The leader of NXT is about to strike pay dirt yet again. We'll talk about that. And one of the biggest stories is the USA Network not fully cooperating with Netflix. And of course, why that's a major issue is because come October, nobody knows what they're doing. WWE, USA Network, Netflix, come October, everything is in the air. Nobody knows what's happening. So if USA Network and Netflix cannot see eye to eye, if they cannot come together and work something out with WWE, BC is going to explain why that is a massive issue. And WWE is going to be up that creek without a paddle. So there's a lot to talk about. This is the post-Royal Rumble upload. I'm going to get a big swig of coffee. We'll get into all of it, including a big thank you to my entire amplified unit for the entire week we just had. Salute. Let's do this. Another week. We're going to end this month strong and start February even stronger. To my amplified unit. Salute. A big thank you to each and every one of you guys, man. What a week we just had. The Rumble week is always a big week on the channel. And you guys absolutely showed up, showed out over the weekend especially. The Royal Rumble upload. Here we are just over 24 hours after that went up on the channel. First we were live, and then it went up as an upload. And that is headed toward 15,000 views. And it's headed toward 1,000 on the ups. You guys absolutely rocked. You kept BC amplified the entire 4.5 hours live. 4.5 hours live. And BC lost his voice after the very first match. But you guys, man, the chat was on fire. You guys were rocking, fully amplified. You kept BC on that high note, man. So the entire 4.5 hours. I don't know where I found it, but woo! A stream to remember for sure, man. What a Royal Rumble. The very first match was the best BC felt. The men's Rumble, ooh, that was rough. Everything in the middle, well, you guys saw the stream. You know exactly how it went. So, not bad, man. We absolutely rocked it out. Not too shabby for a little ECW type channel in the community, right? Man, we are the best. Salute. I appreciate you guys big time. No time to waste, though, because for my channel members, I might have a little live stream before Raw tonight. I'm playing around with the idea I might have an hour later on. So if you're a channel member, please stop by, say what's up in the chat. The chat will be open for channel members, my gold card unit. So if you got a gold card after your name, you are obviously a board of director of the channel. You are a channel member. I want to do a live stream and have my board of directors up in the chat. So that would be nice. If I can do that, I'm going to try. And again, that's later before Monday Night Raw tonight, at least for an hour. all of my Amplified Unit Gold team, my channel members. All right. Listen, I need another swig, then we'll get into all this news that I promised. You ready? Let's do this. Where do you want to start? Let's go Paul Levesque McMahon, right? I got the thank yous out of the way. Promoted the live stream for my channel members. Hopefully we can do that later this evening before Raw. Let's go to the big story, man. Paul Levesque McMahon. You know, sometimes it's best to say nothing at all. We say that all the time for Tony Khan and Alternative Entertainment Wrestling, and it's the same for Paul Levesque McMahon with World Wrestling Entertainment. These media scrums, which is not media, by the way. It's some freaking wrestling personalities or journalists. I mean, that's really all it is. You know, it's just a little conference where it's a chance for the wrestlers and Levesque McMahon to actually seem like they're, you know, they just got done with the NBA playoffs or something, right? And they're up there and they're taking answers from all the top media from around the world. The big headline is always something that is not necessarily a good thing for that specific company. In AEW, it's always, or most of the time anyway, it's always something that just went off the rails, right? And the press conference made the company put it in a bad light. This press conference for WWE after the Royal Rumble, Paul Levesque McMahon spoke, and the biggest headline out of everything, Bayley spoke, the winner of the Women's Rumble. Cody Rhodes spoke, the winner of the Men's Rumble. And HHH praised people like Jordan Grace, Naomi, and so many others. But the biggest story is Paul Levesque McMahon and what he said about Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Or what he didn't say, I should say. The big backlash and scrutiny for Paul Levesque McMahon is that he pretty much just swept it under the rug like nothing big. A negative is what he said. He likes to just focus on the positive. Yes, there was a negative. Just, you know what I mean? Like, you got on the plane and they lost my baggage. You know what I mean? That's a negative. But I'm focusing on the positives. I can always buy new gear, right? Yeah, my father-in-law and all of this that's happening, it's a negative. But, I mean, look at all the positive that we got rocking. I'll let you guys listen yourself. And BC will tell you why it's a 50-50 toss-up here, right? Did Levesque McMahon handle this? I'll tell you why he handled this the wrong way, but it might not be how you would think. So listen yourself. This was a question asked about what's happening right now with Vince. This is right after the Rumble, the media scrum press conference. And this is what Levesque McMahon said about Vince McMahon, or didn't say.
Yeah, so I'm going to do exactly what you would expect me to do here. Look, we just had an amazing week. I just said a 10-year, $5 billion Netflix deal. Rock joining our board. We just sold out the Royal Rumble, put 48,000 people in the Tropicana Field. I choose to focus on the positive. And yes, there's a negative, but I want to focus on that and just keep it to that.
No. Now, here's the thing. Now, he's taking a lot of heat for not really opening up and talking about it. Guys, it's his father-in-law. What do you expect him to say? What is he going to say? I can't believe the old bastard. You know how many times we've been in an office and he called me the doofus son-in-law? That son of a bitch. Oh, I oughta. You know what? He's getting his. What do you expect him to say? It's his father-in-law. His wife is the dude's daughter. He's not just going to start railing on the guy. They didn't even go to court with the case. Vince is adamantly denying everything. So what is he supposed to do? The biggest problem here, guys, is that he's doing this. This is not necessary at all. If you want to have this little press conference just to feel good about yourself and make WWE look like it's up there with NFL or NBA, MLB, right? We're holding a press conference after this. Which, by the way, is so stupid anyway because it's clear you're copying AEW's Tony Khan. I mean, they started doing this. And all of a sudden, HHH is rocking these press conferences. Okay, fine. If that's what you want to do, cool. But just send the wrestlers out. Bayley, Cody Rhodes, and in your spot, have two people come out. And maybe have Naomi talk a little bit. Maybe have CM Punk. I doubt you're going to get the all-out, brawl-out media scrum that happened there in AEW. Send out CM Punk maybe, right? Something fun. Someone fun. Maybe Logan Paul. That would be interesting, right? Get the headlines on some character development. Maybe Kevin Owens. Somebody from the Fatal 4-Way, man. Randy Orton, LA Knight would be fun. But you put yourself in this predicament knowing that that's a question that's going to be asked, and you deliver absolutely nothing but, yes, it's a negative, but I'm focusing on the positive. Well, obviously, the company has to. I told you guys before the Rumble even hit the airwaves, I said this was the night where they have to look forward, not backward. So what he's saying is absolutely correct. But you cannot just say, I can't really, it's a negative. It's a negative. Not this dark cloud that was hanging over us this weekend. It's a negative. That's why it's scrutiny, guys. He shouldn't have been in that position anyway. As far as what he said, he actually started that off. Did you hear what he said at the beginning? He said, I'm going to do exactly what you expected me to do. Which means deflect. I'm not answering this thing, just so you know. So again, the problem here is just him being in that situation. He put himself there. Don't do that, man. After that, you're going to get these questions. And he was asked again about it later on, too. And he just doubled down. He's like, with his voice, he lowers it. Because Vince taught him to do that, command the room. Listen, I chose to focus on the positives. I'm not going to look at the negative. And we just had a great week with The Rock and Netflix. And I'm looking forward, not backward. And I got to get out of here, guys. I got dinner with Vince and the family in about an hour. You know what I mean? I mean, they're having Sunday night family dinner the next night, obviously. He's not going to say too much. Don't put yourself in that position. That's the biggest problem I have. Now, you can say, BC, wouldn't it look like he's dodging shit by not showing up because he's at every press conference? Suppose. So have a better answer planned. We know you can't say too much about it. We know you're going to deflect. Have a little something more than just, I'm focusing on positives. Yes, that's a negative. A negative. But there's a lot of positive. People are like, what? You're running the company now. This is a massive story. The owner of the company for decades, the guy who really created this WWE. Because when his father had it, it was not this. The reason most everybody is there, the talent, the fans watching, was from what Vince McMahon created. And this dude has pretty much been removed from the company totally, in totality, and pretty much is in the process of being erased in totality. If you think about it, I mean, his profile page was even just taken off WWE's.com site. They're told not to talk about Vince at all in the company, guys. Did you know that? Employees to the talent. Maybe that's breaking news for you guys. But that's the exact word that I'm getting, is that everybody right now is told not to talk about the situation. I mean, the dude's pretty much erased from his own company. That's big. You can't just say, oh, it's a negative. But look at the week we're having. So, what did you expect him to say? I hear that. He shouldn't have been in that position. So, yes, I think this is one of those, I don't care how the optics look, just sit this one out. Put in LA Knight and Randy. Have both of them up there, right? Both of them at once. Randy, LA Knight. I think we'll forget about the Vince McMahon question to Paul Levesque McMahon, which was never going to be answered anyway. But I want to switch gears over to a funny answer that Levesque McMahon had to a question regarding the relationship with TNA. And Levesque McMahon told you exactly how he feels about this forbidden door. This was great. So he was asked about, basically Jordan Grace showing up to the Rumble. And Levesque McMahon praised Jordan Grace. Hard not to. I mean, if you know Jordan's work and you know a lot about Jordan Grace, her presence alone, let alone her skill set, Jordynne Grace is the real deal. And I hope on a more consistent basis we get to see her in the real big leagues of pro wrestling. That's not even shade to TNA, but it's WWE. And just in terms of viewership, eyeballs to Jordynne Grace, she deserves to have the most eyeballs on her because she's that good. And she's been doing this for so long and has never gotten this opportunity. That's what sucks. So, all of us want to see, or most of us anyway, want to see more Jordynne Grace. That's pretty obvious. And Paul Levesque McMahon is no different. He absolutely, and hopefully it'll happen. So he's praising Jordynne Grace, but he also says, and by the way, he said TNA was more than accommodating as well. Paraphrasing, but they were accommodating in letting WWE have Jordynne Grace for that night. So he says, I think it's important. This is a slight paraphrase, but basically exactly what he said. It's important to have those working relationships with some other brands, companies, but I don't like to do this little labeling about doors. It's stupid and it's silly. It's just a working relationship. I just thought... Obviously, he's talking about the Forbidden Door. I don't know if it's a jab to Khan and AEW. And if so, how many times do they mention WWE? So, and he didn't even have to mention AEW. He just listen, I'm not going to label this any type of a door. But for him to say it just sounds stupid and silly. Knowing what we know about how the company views Tony Khan and a lot of what happens in AEW, I think that was another eye-opening kind of comment, right? Another time where they describe something to do with AEW as stupid and silly. This is not the first or 20th time that we've heard something like that. So I could see why they think it's a jab. I just think Levesque McMahon they truly view some of the things that they hear that's more for that niche audience over for AEW. They hear a lot of this and they just roll their eyes. Oh my goodness. Forbidden Door? Paul Levesque McMahon, to say that he had to have known that it was going to spark a conversation. A little bit of scrutiny, a little bit of backlash. And I'm not talking about the WWE PLE. But he said it just to kind of pop the room a little bit, and he did. There was a good laugh after it. But no harm, no foul. I don't think that was too big of a diss, guys. Maybe a slight jab. He knew what he was saying, right? He knew where he was going with that. Stop. Don't even call this a Forbidden Door, please. We're not going that route. So anyway, that popped BC for sure. That was funny. That was the more lighthearted, big headline coming out of the press conference with Paul Levesque McMahon. It was those two things. What he didn't say about Vincent Kennedy and the supposed jab to AEW and their Forbidden Door and how it is silly and stupid. The phrase alone. So none of what Paul Levesque McMahon said in a positive light made the headlines. Other than I think I saw a couple that said he praised Jordynne Grace. So that was a positive. But aside from that, it was a rough night at the office / press conference for Levesque McMahon. Maybe have a little bit of a better game plan going forward. Anyway, moving on. Where do you guys want to go? Brock Lesnar? Wait till you hear this. So, Brock Lesnar named in this whole suit with Vincent Kennedy. And we're not going to go into that anymore. That's it's so overplayed at this point. And going into WrestleMania, we really do have to switch gears and start looking ahead, not backwards. We'll let that play out as it's going to legally. But Brock Lesnar named in that. I was the first one, literally the first one to report what I was hearing from down in Florida, is that it's not just Vince that Endeavor was going to distance themselves from. I was hearing Brock Lesnar is already being in the process of being removed, and the Royal Rumble was the start. And I did that stream. I broke that news to you guys, just what I was hearing. And sure enough, the next morning, I believe it was Fightful, maybe it was even Sean Ross, but Fightful backed up what I had broke to you guys, that they're hearing that Brock Lesnar is more than likely removed from the Rumble. So They were a little late on it, as they usually are when BC's breaking this type of stuff. But sure enough, Brock Lesnar didn't show up to the Rumble, and we're hearing he's removed from all future events, including Chamber and, of course, WrestleMania. Now, if you're wondering, right, there was plans set. He was supposed to be at the Rumble, absolutely. Some reports said he was supposed to be in the Rumble match itself. Set something up for Gunther. And Dominic Mysterio. I'll get to that in a second. But BC was hearing he was supposed to be in the main event to set something up with one of the 3 out of the 4 competitors in the Fatal Four-Way. Not main event, the championship match for Roman's title. He was supposed to show up in that match. So no matter which one he was supposed to show up at, it didn't happen. And I told you it was not going to, and that was later confirmed by other reports as well. So what was the plans going forward for Brock? Well, supposedly, this is left field with a hockey stick. He was supposed to set something up with Dominic Mysterio for the Elimination Chamber. And then a possible match with Gunther at Mania. Again, I'm hearing something totally different, guys. I was hearing they were setting something up left field, maybe like Randy Orton, Brock Lesnar-esque, because he was going to be involved in that title match. And maybe that's why the simplistic finish with Roman just taking out AJ Styles with one spear, maybe that's why that just felt a little flat. But another report is saying Dominic Mysterio at the Elimination Chamber, which makes 0 sense. And then Gunther, which makes 0 sense other than that would be a fun match. Beast and Beast. But Gunther has an IC title, so it wouldn't make sense. Literally would not. Brock wouldn't go for a mid-card championship. That would be so weird. I wouldn't even want him holding the IC title. I don't even want to think about Brock in an IC title match. Guys, if like Gunther was facing main eventers the whole time through 2023, okay, Brock's in there. Think about every single person Gunther's been in the ring with the past, since he's had the IC title. Everybody, guys. Let's name some of them. Bronson Reed, Chad Gable, Tozawa, Miz many times. It's all mid-card talent, right? Mid-card title, mid-card talent. Once he drops that title, then he's going to go main roster, main event scene bound, right? He'll hit up the Seth Rollinses, the Randy Ortons, the LA Knights, depending on what brand he's on, obviously. CM Punk, maybe even. You're going to get all those Gunther matches. You know, but you drop the title first, and then you get to that main event scene. If you're going to have him keep the title and insert him into the main event scene, we can do that, just do it properly. Brock Lesnar would never go for an IC title. He's known as the ultimate prize fighter, right? That's his whole character. He's the ultimate. He only shows up for the biggest payday, the biggest of championships. That was supposed to be why he attacked Cody Rhodes after 39, right? On Monday Night Raw. But they audibled. They kept it on Roman. He went on the vacation, and then Brock and Cody never had a story meaning. They never had a purpose. To this day, we don't know what the purpose is. It was supposed to be because Cody had the title, right? And he couldn't take on Roman. So he was waiting for somebody to just get that championship, and Cody finally got it, and he attacked Cody. That never happened. But that was the meaning. At least they had that set up in advance. They just called an audible last second. Him going for Gunther because they went face-to-face in a past Rumble, for instance, that's not why Brock would come for Gunther. He just wouldn't go for an IC title. And again, if Gunther was already taking on main eventers, okay, maybe Brock's just next in, but he hasn't been. You can't go from Tozawa and Miz to Brock Lesnar. Guys, it just doesn't make sense. I understand it would be a fun match, but can't we just make it make sense and hold off until it does? Right? I'm willing to hold off a little bit more and get Brock and Gunther to be at its very best, purpose-wise, with the story making sense. He can't have the title if you're taking on Brock Lesnar. That just muddies the waters. It's so stupid. The IC title holder versus Brock. At that point, what are we doing with Brock? He might as well just show up for house shows in the dark segment. Right? Take up a young up-and-comer from NXT and have him take on Brock Lesnar. Because at that point, you're just falling off. You're falling off. You're attacking Cody. There's no reason to it. You're going after Gunther. He's got an IC title. What are we doing with Brock? So that Dominic Mysterio to Gunther, none of it makes sense. But it's all for nothing anyway. It looks like he's being removed from everything WWE, and that's because he's linked to this Vincent Kennedy McMahon, and so Brock won't be getting that payday. If they already had that deal inked, Brock's not going to let that go quietly. So if you end up seeing Brock by WrestleMania, it's because he said, no way, you're paying me. And WWE's like, well, if we're paying you that much, because that's going to be in the millions, then you showing up. So anyway, I don't know, man. All these plans for Brock Lesnar, it's all for nothing. He's been removed from the Rumble. That's already been done. No advertisements for him for the Elimination Chamber. And then it would just be weird on 4 weeks' notice to put him over to Mania on a big match. So that's the latest we got on Brock. It looks like he is being removed from all things WWE. This one's interesting, man. USA Network and Netflix. USA Network, they're being asked to do something. Respectfully, they're declining. So they're being asked to be patient with Netflix, right? Kind of work with them. They have a line. They're like, we're working with you. They're a partner of yours, okay. I'm paraphrasing how I'm hearing this from my people. So we're willing to go to the line with you guys. We're not crossing that line to accommodate your relationship with Netflix. So guys, why this is a problem is come October, you guys know, right? USA Network is getting SmackDown. And Monday Night Raw is going to Netflix. The problem with that is Netflix isn't actually getting it until January 25. There's that 3-month gap, October, November, December, where Raw doesn't have a home. You're hoping to extend that with USA Network for the 3 months, obviously. A little over, right? No, I think they're going to go right from the top of January. So yeah, 3 full months. And you're hoping maybe we could just have an extension with USA, is how WWE is looking at it. But USA Network has not confirmed that they're keeping Monday Night Raw on Mondays, right? When they get SmackDown, they're absolutely looking at keeping that Monday slot and inserting SmackDown into it. That's what the whole deal with WWE was, for the option to do such. And WWE was shopping around Monday Night Raw. So they were like, listen, we don't know. That's up in the air anyway, and they probably won't want Raw on Mondays. So yes, we will keep that open for sure, and we'll work together in the future. So Netflix comes around. Netflix is making it clear that they don't want Monday Night Raw on Monday nights. WWE is kind of hesitant to totally take it off because they don't know what USA Network's doing, right? It's like, do you want that Monday slot, or are you going to stay on Fridays? Because Netflix may want Friday. Or if USA wants to put Monday Night Raw on a Wednesday night, because they can't go Tuesday, that's the C-dub. Thursday is a big sports night as well. So they're just in a dilemma here. They don't know who wants to go where. USA Network has not committed to the night, and Netflix isn't committed to a night. So if Netflix wants to get off of Mondays and go to like Friday, but USA Network wants to keep Friday nights for SmackDown, that's a problem. If Netflix is willing to keep Monday nights, but USA wants SmackDown on Monday, somebody has to budge, and WWE is in a pickle here, man. That's what happens when you don't make it clear. No, we do this deal, but it has to be on this night. Both deals were made with the option to move the show. You can't do that to both. One of them, okay. Because then you can go to the Netflix deal and go like, well, listen, they might want Mondays. So, you know, we're going to have to, you don't like Mondays anyway, right? Netflix has already told them that. That's clear because Nick Khan already told you all these reasons why it could be moving. Apparently, USA Network doesn't really have a big problem with that. Football and all that. So, because they're looking at the same numbers that we are. Without football competition, WWE's highs are like 1.7 I mean, without football and the go-home show to the Rumble, they couldn't even get 1.7 last week. Not even 1.7. They were in the 1.6s without football, and that was the go-home show to the Rumble. So with football, they're averaging 1.4 to 1.5. So you're gaining 100,000 viewers without football. With a little bit of good storytelling, some character development to larger-than-life superstars, you'll get that 100,000. USA Network is not too concerned like Netflix is. But you can't go into both deals and just be like, hey, we'll all work it out. Kumbaya later, all right? We'll all get together over a cup of coffee, and we'll work out nights like we're all playing fantasy football and picking our teams, you know? And picking our players. Let's all get together. We'll play fantasy football. This is big-time stuff. This needs to be known ahead of time. And all WWE is saying is, yes, we're still working on the night with USA Network and SmackDown. Oh, we're still working on the night with Netflix. You better decide soon. If they both want Monday nights, that's a problem. USA Network might not want to keep SmackDown on Friday. And if Netflix wants to go to Friday, because they were hearing USA was contemplating Monday, but they want to stay Friday for SmackDown, Netflix may have a problem with that. We don't want to go on Tuesday. That's up against your other show, CW's NXT. We don't want Thursdays. That's the big NBA game night. And then you have Wednesday nights. It's between Wednesday and Friday, right? Wednesday, you're going up against AEW. Maybe Netflix doesn't want to do that. I don't know. This is up in the air. But the word that I'm getting, the whole talk, we could go another hour with that. That's a lot of behind-the-scenes jargon on what is happening business-wise with USA and Netflix and WWE. Long story short is that USA Network is not willing to be so accommodating anymore. Like, since that deal has been made and WWE continues to tell them just be patient, USA Network is like, well, going to the line, man. We're not willing to go outside the bounds. So they better decide. Interesting. USA Network and Netflix. We'll see what happens with them. We'll see what day falls which. It would be hilarious if Raw just goes to Friday and SmackDown goes to Monday. You just literally flipped shows. But they could both want the same day. That's the issue. Let's go over to this report. Samantha Irvine. She was on fire at the Royal Rumble. There's a report stating that she worked the entire Rumble because Mike Rome had lost his voice. First of all, I didn't know it was a thing to mix up the announcers. I really didn't. I guess I just never noticed. What I did notice is Samantha Irvine the entire night because she was just looking so bodaciously beautiful. And every time she was just like on fire. Her announcing was even another level up. It was just amplified to another degree. Well, there you go. That could be why. You know, the entire show was on her shoulders, and that's when you either step up or you sit down. She stepped up. She was like, all right, if I got to put this show on my shoulders, they're going to know why I'm the best to do this right now. And why I should go down as one of the best ever. So, Samantha Irvine, man, we wish the best for Mike Rome. I hear you, bro. After the first match at the Rumble, BC had lost his voice. That women's Rumble, it was all my ladies in there, man. Naomi returned. Jordynne Grace debuted. Jade Cargill debuted. Roxy and Tiffany Stratton showed up from NXT. Xia Li was performing in there. Man, it was so great for BC. And one of the best Rumble matches in recent memory for BC was the women. They stole the show easily, hands down. That show was stolen in the very first match by the ladies. Samantha Irvine, behind the microphone, she just added to the night. So we wish the best for Mike Rome, but I don't mind seeing more Samantha Irvine in the future if you want to give her all PLEs from top to bottom. Moving on, Jade Cargill. This is a report saying that, and I think this is from maybe Brian Alvarez, but there's a report going around that from what they're hearing is Jade Cargill is having problems remembering everything for her matches that she's supposed to do. The first issue I have with this report is, what are you talking about? She hasn't had any. She entered the Rumble and she was pretty damn good. There was some rough moments that wasn't just her fault, first of all. She looked pretty damn good. The crowd was in the palm of her hand. I mean, the pop, the response was top notch, man. In fact, Jade Cargill several times has thanked all of the WWE audience in an interview after the Rumble on her social doohickey machine. Big thank you to everybody from Jade Cargill. That's how awesome that pop was, that response. But she's only had that performance. So I don't know who's saying that she has issues remembering her matches. She's not having any. She's been training. She's been busting her ass. And at the Rumble, she finally had a chance to be in front of that type of a crowd with that many people. And, you know, the second problem I have with this report is not everybody needs to put on 25, 30-minute matches to get over. I say it all the time on this channel like a broken record. The Ultimate Warrior didn't have to do 25-minute matches. Didn't have to. Everybody was on their feet going ballistic when the music hit, before the dude even came through the curtain. Everything else after that was a cherry on top. They just kept getting more amplified by the moment. Warrior could go in, do a few moves, run right to the back to his coffee, and everybody was ignited. You remembered it for a lifetime. You went back and watched those 2-3-minute matches time and time again when we were kids, right? That's just what you did. They were larger than life, these wrestlers. They could go in there and do punches, kicks, clotheslines, and body slams, and in 5 minutes, they captivated you. Wrestlers today, they can do all the flips, the dives, they can wrestle for 25 minutes. You ooh, you ah, you yell, this is awesome, and then you never go back and watch again. In fact, you forgot about it. It's on to the next set of gymnasts that is going to entertain you, hopefully, for the moment. But it's just for the moment, right? Because we live in a microwave society where we're like cats and toys, right? And the wrestlers are the toys and we're the cats and we're easily amused, right? They're bouncing and flipping all over the place and we're like this. And for the moment, we're all into it. And then we just get tired and we snooze a little bit. And then you wake up and you do it all again. It's on to the next toy, right? You're not playing with the same toy. No, it's on to the next. So it's one of those microwave society type things where not everybody has to remember 8 pages of moves to put on a 25-minute match. Jade Cargill is a presence, man. I'm not saying she doesn't have to constantly improve and get better and be able to do a 25-minute match. Of course, Warrior, guys. I say this all the time like a broken record. Two of the matches I've went back and watched thousands of times, maybe. Slight exaggeration, but so many times. There were 2 matches that involved Warrior. Now, he's supposedly one of the worst wrestlers ever in terms of skill, right? His match at WrestleMania 6 with Hulk Hogan, and 1 year later, WrestleMania 7 with the Macho Man Randy Savage. Those are 2 of the best matches I've ever seen. First of all, the story going into those matches were beyond epic. Warrior was an IC title holder, Hogan the world title holder, and WrestleMania 6 was the clash of these 2 entities that want to be the face of that company. The story was just so immaculate. And then a year later, perhaps even better, Savage and Warrior, their epic feud, culminating at WrestleMania 7 with a career-ending match. Whoever loses, their career is over. And we all know how that ended, man. Emotional. So emotional. With Savage and Miss Elizabeth reuniting. But it was too late. Savage's career was over. And Warrior, that iconic image of him with 1 foot over Savage beaten. And Elizabeth in tears as sensational Sherry turns on Savage at his lowest of moments. And Miss Elizabeth, in that front row, she couldn't take it anymore. I get goosebumps thinking about it. These are things that Warrior was absolutely a part of. So even though they said he couldn't do a lick of wrestling, you give him anything over 60 seconds, he's lost. No. He can absolutely do it. They can absolutely do it at the most top of levels and the most amplified of ways. Jade Cargill is a wrestler that doesn't need to do that. When it comes time to do such, I'm sure she's going to outperform what everybody's expectation is. But she doesn't need to be that person. Look at her. I didn't think for 1 second the way that Tony Khan was booking her was problematic. I loved it. She was a beast. That's what she is. That's exactly how you book her, as a beast. Tony Khan started to get kind of lost on where the trajectory should be at some points, and that's where it kind of unraveled a bit. But other than that, that's how you would book her. And when the situation occurs that where she needs to have a 15, 20, 25-minute match, it'll be fine. But Jade Cargill doesn't have to have those matches. She doesn't have to every match obtain 8 pages of moves. So relax on that. She just debuted at the Rumble. And now these reports are Jade Cargill has problems putting together matches. Yeah, they said that about the Warrior. He did just fine for himself, for the company, and for us fans. Legendary to another level. So if that's the route Jade Cargill is going to go, I'm more than okay with it. Thanks. Not that problematic. Relax. She just got the WWE. She's going to keep learning, keep improving. With this structure, she will do such. Give her a moment, give her a damn chance. These reports on her debut, you gotta love it. When she hasn't even had matches on TV. Nothing with WWE, but these reports are, I'm hearing there's issues putting together her matches. She's having some problems remembering. That's how it was put in this report. She's having a problem remembering what to do in her matches. Really? You saw a bunch of televised WWE matches? For Jade Cargill. Moving on. Where do you guys want to go? Let's go to another female. She's still on the roster. She's just taking some time off with her kid. But I got to give props. This might come as a surprise to a lot of you guys. Some props to Paul Levesque McMahon, right? He took some scrutiny, some backlash this weekend. But BC of all people, I'm going to give this dude some props because he went to bat for this lady. And I think it worked out for the better. VKM and HHH disagreed over what should happen with this one female. And I'm glad that HHH won out on this argument. We'll talk about it right now. That is Trish Stratus. Trish Stratus recently disclosing that upon her return, she wanted to work heel. She thought it would be good, and it's a good way to promote some of the wrestlers around her, like the Zoe Starks and whatnot. Unfortunately, booking botched that, but Trish did everything she could. For the Becky Lynch's, who's already established, but put her over even more. And working with people like Zoe Stark. And many others, too, in this last run. But she wanted to work heel. Vince McMahon was totally against it. He said, they'll never boo you. They'll never boo you. And Levesque McMahon was like, no, actually, I think we should give this a try, actually. We've seen her as a heel before, and it worked. There's no reason that in 2023 at the time that wouldn't work. So Vince, I say we do it. And Vince was adamant, no, it's not going to work. They're not going to boo you. They're not going to look at you like that. This is one of those scenarios where HHH won out on it. Trish and HHH won out on it, and she was able to go heel and work with Zoe and go against the Beckys and whatnot. And guys, I feel it worked phenomenally. No pun intended over to AJ Styles, but I thought it worked so good. A lot of fans did not think so. They just didn't want to see Trish because they didn't like what she was involved with. Her and Becky lasted too long. The promos weren't good. I heard everything. So if you're one of those fans that didn't like the Trish Stratus run or what she was doing with Becky and all that, then you're not happy that HHH won out in this scenario. You were hoping probably VKM won and she stayed face and you wouldn't have gotten any of that Becky stuff or any of it. Or working with Zoe. I hear you, but I don't agree. She was putting together really good promos. I think Trish Stratus is at her best when she is a heel. I'd said this a million times. I always remember when she was coming down the aisle and she looks at the dude in the front row and she goes, is that your wife? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, call me, to the guy right in front of his wife after finding out it's his wife. I mean, come on. Trish does those little things. Her mannerisms, expressions, every movement. She's so good at being a heel. She really gets you to not like her and to boo or at the bare minimum make noise. And I think it absolutely worked. And if booking did things correctly, Zoe would be much farther along. For Becky, I think it absolutely helped her out, man. It was Becky and Trish and a lot of other mini feuds in between. Trish played her role beautifully. She took a lot of flack on this last run because for some reason, today's fan just wants to see everybody that's new, right? Leave the legends in the past, man. They're taking spots. I agree with that sometimes. Having Trish do another run, the way she looks and the way she's moving and the matches that she's still having and the presence that she still brings and the help that she can help with these younger talents, the positives far outweigh the negatives. And I'm glad she's still on the roster page, not the alumni section. She's on the Raw page. She's still a superstar, active in the company. She's on a hiatus. She's coming back. And you'll get more fans going, oh, no, not again. Tough. Because the truth is, the booking isn't doing anything with your Candice LeRae's, your Indy Hartwells, your Munchkin Mia Yims, your Tegan Knoxes, your Natties, and the list goes on and on. From Zoe Stark to Shayna Baszler, unfortunately. It's still the same thing you saw 5, 7, 10 years ago with the Nia Jaxes running the Royal Rumbles, or the majority of it. Throwing everybody out. So if you think Trish Stratus is the problem, if you think Trish Stratus, if we just don't bring her back, everybody else will get their moment and chance. Not true. She's been gone for months. How's that working out for a lot of these females? It's not. Stop. Trish Stratus brings immense value. And I'm glad that HHH knows a little bit more anyway of what to do with her in this day and age. So I got to give props over to HHH, whether that surprises you or not, because Beasley only bashes HHH. Nope, not really. When good things are happening, I'm absolutely praising it because I want to talk more positive than negative. Trust me, it's more fun. So salute to HHH on the whole Trish Stratus story. Good to hear from Trish's mouth herself. Finally, guys, let's get into this one. This is fun. This is a big contract extension or re-signing that's about to happen. I think they're totally restructuring the deal. But the leader of NXT, Michael Hickenbottom, Shawn Michaels, HBK, staying with the company. That shouldn't be too surprising. His good buddy is Paul Levesque McMahon. What might be surprising is his salary, man. He's getting paid upwards of $2 million still. $2 million to run NXT. That's pretty damn good, man. $2 million. I still remember when he came out of retirement, the Saudi show. Was that like a crown jewel? Something, one of those, right? Crown jewel, or what else do they call those? What was the greatest Royal Rumble ever? I don't know if it was on that show. One of those Saudi shows. He got $3 million to come out of retirement. $3 million. He got a lot of flack for that, too. Just stay retired. And then a lot of people that don't like WWE showing up in Saudi for, other reasons, they were like, oh, don't sell out. I mean, when somebody's throwing you $3 million in your face, and you got a family, he's got kids, like Heath Slater says, and $3 million for one night of work. I mean, it's easy to say don't do it. But until you're in that position, man, Shawn Michaels was like, oh, I'm going to come out of retirement. Yeah, for $3 million. So, anyway, it looks like his contract is up for an extension or / re-signing, restructuring, and he is going to stick around, and he is going to hit pay dirt. As is being reported, he is going to get a raise on top of what how do you... The fuck are you gonna give him? $2.5 million? I know it's a big job. I mean, he is leading NXT. I get it, but whoa! If you're wondering what the talents are getting in NXT, the average talent salary is around $75,000 a year. $75,000. So Shawn Michaels gets to sit in that chair. He's got his Post-it note and his Post-it note pad and his pens, his Sharpie pens. And he's penciling in the shows, collecting his cool $2 and maybe even $2.5 million going forward. Good for him, bro. Salute to Shawn Michaels hitting that next payday. Oh man, we're kind of going a little heavy on time here. Let me go see if I want to discuss anything else. What else did I have? I had a couple more stories, but we're running heavy on time. Is there anything I need to discuss? That can wait. Like I said, I would like to do a live stream later for my channel. Everybody will be able to listen in. Listen in later. Everybody, even if you're not a channel member. But the chat will be open for members. Gold card, board of director channel members. That's what the chat will be for. Only channel members allowed. I hope to do that later before Monday Night Raw. And then I'll go over some more of these stories I would like to touch base on. So I hope to do that. We'll see. If not, at some time this week, there will be a channel members live stream. And we'll keep this post-Royal Rumble party. We'll keep it going, man. Until next time, guys. And there will be that next time. Hopefully later this evening. Top guys, we are out. BC saying check you. Peace. Do we? Did we do it after the 49ers' huge comeback victory over the Lions last night in that NFC Conference Championship playoff game? Wow, man, the Lions totally... Now, as a Packer fan, that was a beautiful thing to see. They're in our division. There was no way we wanted them in the Super Bowl. But to see a collapse like that, man, it is true what they say. It must be tough to be a Lions fan. And to KC, they handled their business over Baltimore. They crumbled, but not like the Lions. KC versus San Fran. A rematch, a Super Bowl rematch from 5 years ago? Something like that. So, in honor of the Chiefs and the Niners, we'll do this one. Maybe for the last time this season, or maybe we'll keep it for the Super Bowl. But go long. It's a Hail Mary. Somebody better come up with this. Come on. Longer than that, man. I got an arm. I'm decent. I'm amplified, brother. Brother, let me tell you something, brother. Longer. Go. Here we go.